I mean, many of you may already not know it, but you may have SmartSignal at your sites. Usually we deal directly with the monitoring centres, such as John's at the EPC in Lee in Ferrybridge. So often the sites don't really appreciate that SmartSignal is sitting in the background monitoring some of their equipment. And with other customers, we deal directly with the reliability and performance engineers on the site. So SmartSignal is been around a long time. It's not a new technology by any means. It's been developed over the past sort of 15, 16 years. And it's all about helping you to get value from your existing plant data. The sort of simple way that I like to think about it is it helps you, generally when people look at equipment, you know, they're looking at the data in a sort of a reactive fashion to look at what happened. You know, something went wrong, and then they use the data to look backwards and look at what was the root cause analysis of this, how can we avoid this from happening again, and so on. But what SmartSignal does, if you've got that data available, SmartSignal is going to see that in real time happening. So what we do with SmartSignal is use the data to look ahead and look at the potholes in the road that's coming rather than looking backwards at what's happened. We, as a sort of business, we provide the whole sort of range of reliability. We sort of follow this industrial internet maturity model, so reliability maturity model. So what we find is most of our customers are somewhere on this curve. You know, everybody sort of wants to be able to utilize their data in a more effective way. So they're looking to obviously connect and store the data first. So we've got solutions for that. Or what we find in the power industry in the UK in particular is most people have a Pi historian, so we can sit on top of your Pi historian and utilize your existing data. We're then looking to provide functionality to analyze your data, and the predict and optimize is the sort of SmartSignal piece on additional visualization that we have. But today we're here just to focus on the SmartSignal piece. So this is a P2F curve that a lot of you will be familiar with. You know, is it a pointer on this?
Just the red button there.
Okay, thank you. Great, thanks. Yeah, so most of you will see here, you know, the P2F curve. This is where most people tend to operate. When we talk to our customers, this is where a lot of them operate. You know, you've got very visible signs of damage here, easily observed effects. The problem here a lot of the time is it can be random, the sort of time to failure. You know, you may have a day, you may have a week, you may have a month, and so on. Now what we try and do with SmartSignal is we take the identification and anomaly detection right back to the very precursors of problems occurring. And this is anomaly detection, so it'll pick up mechanical problems, process issues, and I'll talk a little bit more about how the software works and discuss that. But you can see that, you know, the further down this line you have, usually the more damage that's occurred, the more chance you're going to have production losses and so on. So the whole value proposition with SmartSignal is helping you to see these issues early and take avoiding action. And it's difficult to achieve without advanced technology or real extreme intensive analysis if you were doing this manually. I mean, we go to a lot of customers and say, oh, we do this, we've got 10 people looking at spreadsheets all the time. It's not the way to do this, you know, when there's this technology available. So this would be a sort of vibration signal, for example, and you can see that typically you'd have an upper and lower threshold. And this is a trend of that, maybe out of your Pi system or an acquisition system. And you can see that there's some variability there depending on what load you're doing, whether you're ramping up, ramping down, what's the ambient conditions, what other factors are involved in this machine. And the reason that we have to put these upper and lower thresholds in, or the reason we put these in is to account for the fact that we don't really know what this should be at any given time. You know, traditionally we sort of say, well, I know, this vibration should be between 40 and 60 micrometers, or whatever we want to put as the values, but we know it should be within that envelope. So it's difficult to identify very early on when there's a problem developing, and often by the time you hit this upper threshold, you've got some damage that's already been occurring for some time. So that's that same trend at the top there. So this is how SmartSignal works. SmartSignal, and this is the whole sort of, if you get the concept of SmartSignal, you can just see where it can be deployed in lots of different places. So SmartSignal is different in that it doesn't alarm or alert on hard limits. It doesn't look at hard limits at all. It alerts on deviation away from expected behavior. So this is different from other systems that you may be, or not other systems, but traditional condition monitoring technologies where you're looking at this threshold level. You've got a threshold level because you don't know what the value should be. You just want to protect it. You just want to protect that equipment. SmartSignal knows it takes a fingerprint and signature profile of each machine. So you might have 4 steam turbines on a plant, all the same manufacturer, all in the same sort of environment. They will all operate slightly differently, and you guys know that better than anybody. So what SmartSignal does is looks at the historic behavior and generates a profile for that particular machine. It understands how it operates through all the different operating profiles, amping conditions. So going forward in real time, it gives an expectation of what it's wanting to see. And as you'll appreciate, all those sensors will have a relationship to each other. As the machine is doing different things, all those sensors have a relationship to each other. And SmartSignal maps that and develops this profile. So going forward in real time, it says, I know what that actual position should be. I know what the pressure should be. I know what the speed. I know what the bearing temperature should be. And it builds in a little dynamic band around this expectation. And that's what it alerts on. So as soon as things start to develop very early on, SmartSignal will detect it. And it's a bold statement to make, but SmartSignal doesn't give you any false alerts. Now, I used to think, it's rubbish, but SmartSignal is always telling you one of 3 things, right? It's either a sensor issue, which you want to be aware of. It's either step high, step low, or it needs calibration. There's a real issue developing there, or it's a particular condition that the models themselves haven't seen before. So it might be a boiling hot day at 30 degrees C. It hasn't seen that before in the algorithm that it develops and says, I've got a new operating condition here. Is it an issue? If it's not an issue and it's part of the new operating envelope, you just train that back into the model and improve the quality of the model. So there's always good value data coming out of a SmartSignal solution. So you can see in this example here, you've got this corresponding to that little sort of blip there. That's actually saying there's an issue developing here at that point, and you can see the extra time it's buying you and the benefits that can bring. So I'll fly through this now. I'm conscious of taking up some of John's time here. So this is just to sort of say, it's exception-based, early warning. There's signals indicating your fault, like your vibration, metal temp, and oil temp. And you have your independent driving signals. So what these are doing is often dependent on what's going on here. It's data-driven, so we look at your existing plant data. So this is what we're looking for. This is the real data coming in from the plant. And what the model does is says, this is what I'm expecting to see. So the green is what we're expecting to see. The blue is what the actual value from the plant is. And this is what we're looking for. And again, stress, it's advisory on deviations away from expected behavior, not on thresholds. So at a very high level, what we're saying here is that what the model says is, something has changed. I'm seeing something here that I'm not expecting to see from this machine. It then says, this is the apparent cause. So there's failure mode detail built into the model. So it's not just a list of sensors that says, I've got a problem with this sensor, I've got a problem with that sensor. It actually looks at the apparent cause and the failure modes and gives some indication and diagnostic of what it thinks the problem is. Oh, what have I done there? Wrong. And then it sort of also looks at the urgency and progression depending on how quickly this fault is developing. And these are the very high level benefits to industrial customers. I mean, the big one that obviously our business tries to push all the while is avoiding catastrophic failure, which it will do, and I'm sure John can touch on some of that, on some of you guys here who know about SmartSignal. But some of the main ones for me are, I've got a background in the power industry, and it's these here, being able to carry out minor repairs instead of major ones, and carrying out more opportunity maintenance. I mean, with the amount of shifting that goes on, and you're seeing these issues early, these problems that have been identified are sometimes very quickly rectified. Stopping a seal going to failure, or it really does help you see these things early and identify the problems much earlier. And there's the obvious knock-on business benefits from being able to see these issues and reduce your production losses and maintenance costs and so on associated with that. We have a monitoring centre. There's a couple of ways to consume the software. One of them is the monitoring centre out in Lisle in Chicago. And the other sort of extreme is the way that John and the team do it at EPC, where they take the software in-house. They're experts on the software themselves. They do everything themselves, and we're there for sort of ad hoc support. Okay, and with that, there's some detail in the sheets that you can sign up. You can have a look on the website. We have a catch of the week that you can see, and there's some additional detail there as well. But with that, I'll hand over to John.